Folks, we are live. Welcome to the Random Party Generator live stream. I am half your host, Eric Tenkar, and with me is Rob Bat in the Attic Conley. Yes, this is what happens. You remember those days you had your group of five or six and everybody's showing up, and then game day comes and it's just two of you sitting down to play Stratego or some other random Oh, or a double blind war game, right? Because it's just the two of you. Well, tonight it's just the two of us. So that puts a lot of pressure on the live audience. Hit us for shit, folks. Hit us for shit. Um, honestly, but don't worry. Rob was always ready with a reach around, so you should remain
We
happy.
don't use that word anymore.
We don't.
I have been informed by certain parties of its true meaning.
Oh, I've known its true meaning forever. I just figured we always used it. Hey,
I kind of did
hey,
too, but it was put in more graphics tone, and I said, okay, I'm not
all
doing
right, no more. No, all right, folks, no more reach arounds. We're sorry. We apologize for the late notification of the lack of reach arounds. Uh,
But I do
David,
have things. I have one thing to show that
all
people
right,
might be.
we got a show and tell. All right, hold on a second. That's something I have not seen.
Yes, it's made by Forge Gaming,
Okay.
and what it is. Okay, so it's kind of two box. Actually, the whole packaging is really nice. So, but this is
A box within a box.
yeah. And so this looks more like a book. So, but the actual product,
All right, so these are these dice that are supposed to evoke the old soap-ish dice that we used to have.
yeah, I mean, they're metal, so they're far more durable.
Wow. Okay.
We can actually have people judge for themselves. Because I happen to have a genuine set here. This is not my original, but it is the correct. Thanks to the Arcanum folks and their obsession with categorizing every printing. I know what printing I needed, but here are the original.
Right.
So I lined up, and there we go. And of course, this D4 is pretty deadly. Don't
Oh
drop
yeah.
that on your floor and forget about it. Now the D10s don't really have an equivalent,
Yeah, I was wondering where that purple, the lavender color came from, but that makes sense now.
here's white to white. D12, the metal one is a little smaller. The D4 is a little smaller, but you can see they're the correct colors.
Oh yeah. All right. Actually, that's pretty cool.
And I know this is going to be a lucky dice because the first roll I made on this was a nat 20. So,
Oh, there you go.
219. Can't argue with that. So, anyway, I feel like I got my money's worth.
So Paul wants to know again who made those dice.
Forged Gaming.
Oh, okay.
And
Uh,
you're better off Google Legacy of Adventure Forge Gaming because I couldn't find it from the front page. And it wasn't until I did that. Once I figured out the name of the product, it came up in the search list. So, well, you know what I could do? God, we have technology. We can give you links.
The, well, yeah, you're dropping into the private chat, and then I can throw it over.
There we go. And there's a link that you can share. But yes, the only downside is they're just pricey enough that I had only seen only getting the one set. So, and you really hate to throw these in your dice box because this packaging is so nice.
Actually, that is pretty cool. Now, uh, anybody who's seen pictures from North Texas, if you've seen Glenn Hallstrom's leather GM shield that he picked up at the con, the company that was selling it only came with that one sample. But I do have one ordered. It should arrive right before my birthday in July.
How much
So
was it?
150. It has metal plates inside the leather, and you could have the outside etched however you wanted, and then the metal plates come with magnets so you can pin up what you want to the leather. So that was pretty cool. I would
So
probably
you
use.
get that you get the custom etching for 150.
Mhm.
Okay, that's not too bad. Oh,
Yeah,
here's
so I
the home
figure.
box set, folks. I
Okay,
pulled from my shelf.
so I figure at 150, you'll see me probably. I'll probably bring it to ShireCon, um, Total Con, any con that I drive to. Page. If I got to fly with it, I'm not flying with a leather GM shield with metal plates on the inside. I'll get flagged on through security each time. I'm quite sure of that, but it looks damn cool. And that's Rachel's birthday present toward me. My precious.
Cool. Is it landscape or portrait?
It's landscape, so it's nice and low. That's how I like it. Yeah, those nice were metal, Hector. So that's pretty damn cool. And I will say too, like I have a nice collection of metal dice, and I don't bring them to North Texas because when you're traveling and you're bringing everything on you as checked in luggage, I like to keep that weight down. I got to carry it or roll it either way. I want to. I'm already bringing a laptop and an iPad. I gotta lower the rest of the weight. You're always buying stuff at cons anyway, or in my case, buying and being given stuff. Yes, they will kill your table, so you best have, I guess, Formica or some other kind of. If it's a general wooden table, you will put dents in it. That's okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Throw it wrong. Something's getting broken.
You know, that's why you have to have one of those little leather dice trays, that they sell. But so, um, Rob and I'm sure we'll dig up topics again. It's just the two of us. Joe is
Yeah.
out partying with work people. Matt is out dating. Greg is on a spouse date, and uh, Tim probably recovering from a bad week. And that just leaves Rob and myself. So you can turn this to an AMA and ask myself or Rob pretty much damn near everything. But hey, you know what? I might as well. I showed it to Rob already. But I was playing with Adobe Firefly, and the reason why I was playing with Adobe Firefly is because Adobe Firefly is an AI art generator, but it doesn't scrape the internet. It scrapes their own IP, and as such, it's likely something that would get past Kickstarter's AI censors. Part of the discussion that I actually had with one of the publishers.
Their own IP. I think it goes diving into their stock library.
Yeah, so it's not scraping the internet of people who aren't aren't part of it. So I did a swordsman with dark hair and chainmail armor fighting a horde of goblins. And at first glance, these pieces actually look pretty darn good. I was impressed with the results. I mean, they look quality until you look closer. And this piece, if you notice the sword in his hand, he's only got four fingers. So I was like, well, we know that AI often has a problem counting fingers. But what are the odds it'll repeat that problem? And then we have this guy who has an unknown number of fingers on his right hand, but his left hand holding the club has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven fingers? Six or seven fingers. Not quite sure. But again, I like the look of the art. This is something that if I saw pieces in this style in a professional product, I'd be like, all right, hey, it's great stock art or whatever it is, but get the fingers right. Now this one, I like this one. Um, Fingers on that hand, the right hand, are a little iffy, and the left hand are a little iffy. But he's not carrying a sword, and if he was wielding this sword, he'd cut his hand off. That hilt is not a hilt. That hilt is another blade. At least it looks like it. But he's not holding it. It's like fender fencer. It's a defender, I guess. It's just floating there. And I'm gonna bring up the last one. Um, she, who apparently is elven with those ears, um, her sword and that hand is whack. That index finger is I don't know how to explain it, but her sword is in her back. Her sword is not on this hilt like thing that is held in her hand. But again, if you don't look too closely, the art passes muster. It's when you actually look at it that the issues start to appear. If you,
What the hell?
okay,
All right.
what?
If you want to share my screen,
Yeah.
that was not what I prompted.
Well, let's see. You prompted draw a warband of orcs making their way through a temperate swamp in autumn, pen and ink, color, high contrast. Oh my god. Oh my.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's put
That's
like Dungeon and Dragons.
well. Maybe you can,
I have an Adobe account, so I'm using Adobe Image Preview. You probably don't have access to that in the
no.
free, free version.
Oh no, it's still the same. Not
Well,
much.
here is what ChatGPT. Does that come up, Eric?
Hold on a second. Okay. I am. All right, so that's the Chat GPT version of what you
Yeah, I
ran.
have an account subscription to ChatGPT because it's useful for things like you got say you got uh, a table, a page full of tables that's all jumbled together like the older products. I could scan it in, and it could actually, give me a correct text dump of it, and then
Okay.
I can run it through a program like Inspiration Pad Pro, and use it for random generation of stuff. And also, it has like Sumerian and all these ancient language in here. So in my quest to figure out names for my stuff, I run through it like give me the you know What's Western Isle in Old Norse? Not Norwegian, not Icelandic. What is it in Old Norse? And I don't know if it's accurate, but it's sure evocative. So anyway, what I did here is ChatGPT has a feature where you can upload pictures and riff off of them. So
Okay.
these are all things I made myself over the years. And and to be fair, guys, I didn't draw these from scratch. I used those character sheets. In this case, GURP, that had those outlines, and you draw
Oh, yeah. Okay.
over it. That's why you see there's a lot of characters with similar pose. But I took some. My mom gave me some drawing lessons, so I'm adequate. So anyway, I fed those in there, and then I fed it into there, and that's what I got from ChatGPT.
Okay.
And likewise, I went up here. I didn't like that one, but this one came out pretty cool. This one's a human fighter. Uh, let's see. A human fighter wearing chainmail, sword and scabbard and backpack, looking intently through a stone archway at the outside world, drawn from behind the fighter, pen and ink line art in a realistic style, white background, high contrast, AD&D 1E illustration style. That's what I got.
Okay.
The backpack is a little busy, but not bad.
No, not bad at all, actually.
I think the most valuable use of this, if I had the time to practice my drawing skill, is to use this to get perspective and composition right, and then I would draw over it, just like I did, with this stuff. And,
Right.
and that way I can make it more my own. Because this is like, I uploaded this, and I'd ask it to do something, and it gave me this. And I'm like, I don't know about you, Eric, but I don't see the connection between this and my style.
No. Other than it's fantasy.
Yeah. And then it started to do this faded, everything is outlined in white, and I couldn't get it to shake it. Oh, and then so I try uploading this picture of mine
Uh-huh.
and try to riff off of it. I got that.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
No.
But and here I was trying to draw a creature called a set beast, which is a creature from mythology. So
Right.
it gave me, so at first it gave me something pretty cute. Then I told it, then it still didn't do it. And then I told it to make it ferocious. And whatever that is, that's interesting, I thought. And then it kind of, and then I got this. This is the closest thing I got. Then I asked it to rely on its knowledge of mythology rather than my picture, and it started getting really weird
Dang.
because a set piece.
Mike, yeah, I actually took. I was taking pictures of Rob's little part of the Black Blade booth and talking with the guys pretty much on a daily basis, and Rob's sales were impressive. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. They told me. So this is actually going to be. It was my sales are impressive, but it's also the end of the air because apparently they sold out of all the last of my Judges Guild stuff. There are a few Waterlands map pack, but we decided because you can't get the full set anymore, they're just going to auction. They're going to donate those to the next auction
oh, okay, that's cool.
because there's two of Fantastic Wonderlands Beyond and two of magic realm, but there's no high fantasy, and I can't give them more. I'm no longer under license, and I
Right.
can't give them fantastic reaches. So they'll sell them for auctions and go from there.
Fair
So,
enough.
so anyway, that's what a set piece is supposed to look like.
Oh, okay. Well,
But,
yeah.
but
Mike, thank you for going to North Texas and spending money. That's awesome, by the way.
oh, guess I better check out. Oh, okay. Anyway, so the other thing I'm showing is I'm still working on into the majestic fantasy realm. So I got all that stuff done, and I'm working on this last quadrant down here, and I got all the terrain, everything that you see named detailed, and I'm working on the island. And now I got the ring island, and this is going to be like a set piece because what the ring island are when the mountain that fell that formed the Smoking Bay. Those of you familiar with Black Marsh, that's this area right here. A chunk of it fell off as it came in over the Gray Sea and hit this area and formed the Ring Island. And I know for sure that that chunk had far more viz, which is magic in physical form, than the chunk that then the entire mountain that fell that hit the Smoking Bay. So this is a highly strange and magical area. So I really want to get this right. So I went a little crazy and actually blew this up and drawing detailed maps that I'll probably include in the Kickstarter. So these big hexes that you see are 5 mile hexes, and these little tiny hexes are 0.2 mile hexes. So I'm currently working on it now, but I'm going through and fleshing out it, and then make a summary of what I do here, and then write a chapter based on these maps. So there's going to be an west half, and an east half. And this is 12 inches by 18 inches. So, and after I'm done with this, it's on to ruins and lairs.
Damn. Very cool, Rob.
So I
Very
guess I got
cool.
to start blogging this stuff too, so people can get people excited.
Yes, definitely. Rob, you should have your own YouTube channel.
Well, I got some of the stuff for it.
You know, I mean, that's one of the great things about having these, listen, the live streams like the Random Party Generator is that, you know, we get other people in the community like Rob, Greg, used to include Matt, even Joe. When Joe wasn't doing his channel, he was still doing our lives here every other Friday night. So that's one of the great things about doing these lives. We get people used to doing doing YouTube. All right. I mean, listen, I go to conventions to socialize more so than play games, but I do live streams mostly to enjoy spending time with my friends and getting a chance to hang out with you all like we're at a local pub. You
Yeah,
know, it's yeah, that's really the highlight for me. If I was just doing it for views and elite advertising money from YouTube, where I can make I don't know $3 a day, um, I wouldn't be doing lives. They're not economical, but they are the most fun.
you would put a title: "The OSR is dying."
Oh yeah, the always I
You
was
wouldn't even bother to link to the article where that prompted you to say why the OSR is dying.
well. Listen, that was a bit of a conversation that we had at North Texas with various people. That there are a lot of channels, and I'm not going to name them because some of these people are friends of mine that they literally do those. Um, oh no, it's one of those links. I know it's meant to shock and awe and get me emotional. my titles are for my videos are usually pretty much a description of what's in the video, and I've used uh, AI suggestions to change my titles, and I always look at the suggestions and go, but that's not what my video is about. It's not. It might it might be more emotional, and but it's not what the video is about. And I like to be label the tin with what's actually in the tin. I don't like the clickbait. I never have,
I
and I
agree.
know, and I've been accused of clickbait, but it's never by people who actually watch the channel. It's people that have a long term dislike of me, and therefore anything that I put out is clickbait. Um, Mike, you'll definitely. I'm guessing that Mike, that this was your first year at North Texas. There were a lot of first timers at North Texas this year, way more than usual. North Texas, end of March, sold out its pre-sales for weekend badges. They actually went a little bit above. I think they sold 509 badges. They were supposed to cut it off at 500. You could still get a walk-up badge, even for the weekend. They weren't turning people away. But yeah, I think we had Gary on Wednesday, and I believe that attendance was over 500 this year, including no shows and walk-ups. No shows usually run around 10%, and they will roll your badge over for 1 year if you're going to be a no-show. Just let them out of courtesy, especially if you're running games, and you're not going to be able to make it. Let the con know. Uh, Parasocial, you're going to be at North Texas again next year. All right, so I got to clear this with Gary and Mike, but this is the game plan for next year. Next year, I am going to host 2 evenings at the bar. Both evenings, I will essentially be putting up to $250 in the till for bottled beer.
Oh,
Because
so Tanker's Tavern is going to be a reality.
yes,
You're
we're gonna
just not
do.
going to LARP it
I'm not
online.
gonna LARP it. No, we're gonna drink it, and
Get off, folks. I said LARP.
yeah, I know. So we're gonna do this. One night's gonna probably be Thursday night. One night's gonna be Friday night. One night is going to be for the taverners. It is no. It's gonna be like no question, no password. Yeah, we're gonna figure out where in the bar we're gonna kind of set up. I'm gonna buy beer by the bucket until my money runs out for that night. In which case, we can keep the party going and buy your money. And if you want to buy hard liquor, that's on you. And the other night's going to be for law enforcement, fire department, EMTs, active military, and such. Because the amount of people that I have met that were either retired or active law enforcement and fire department was stunning. And I had a lot of great conversations. And I think that I should be hosting a not a night of debauchery, but a night of bonding for these people to be able to find each other. Right? I want the taverners to be able to find each other by sight. And the best way to do that is to
Where
hang out.
everybody knows your name, right?
Yeah, isn't that so? Oh, if I want to do a show and tell, but I don't have a con badge nearby me. Go figure. I got everything else strewn about, but if you look at most con badges, they got that little plastic holder. And that little plastic holder, I learned this, and Glenn was able to put this into action, has three holes on top. And you've got your little necklace, your neck piece, with that single clip. And that single clip clips in the middle and that holds your badge in place. But your badge does that little spin around. And half the time you're talking to somebody, you're looking at the back of their badge. If you had two of the actual uh, lanyards, you could clip to the outer parts of the badge, those two holes there, and then the badge doesn't flip around. And when it does flip, it wants to go back to its normal space. So I am horrible with names, by the way. I will repeat. I've said it before. I'm good with faces, horrible with names. So especially people that I know from online, because when the parasocial audience introduces themselves to me next year at North Texas, they're going to be like, their real name is probably like John Smith or something. And it's like, hey, I'm John Smith. I watch you all the time. And I'd be like, oh, I'm known as whatever parasocial is going by at that moment, because he switched his tagline around a few times. I know we picked on him about that on Wednesday, I believe. But you do, man. You do. You. Oh no, maybe it wasn't on. Maybe that was the live stream on Don's channel yesterday. But definitely, it was an awesome time. What about law and National Park Service regulation enforcement? Hey, if you're a game warden, if you're a parkie, of course. And it's not like I'm going to require anybody to show me their ID. I just want to recognize the people that, generally speaking, we don't think of as gamers, right? We don't think of people in the police department. I got to meet, uh, I guess, a captain in one of the deputy sheriff's offices. The now retired Seattle PD cop who essentially kidnapped me at my first GaryCon, and Zach and Mike thought I was going to get a beating. I thought possibly I was going to get a beating. I thought it was possible I could be getting a beating. Actually was bringing me to the bar itself to meet some other uh, law enforcement officers. They were celebrating my retirement and buying me drinks. So it was great to see somebody I hadn't really seen in literally 10 years. So I just figured next year is the time to get this stuff rolling.
Yeah, I hope to get out to North Texas Con. I mean, it's just not quite within my budget. My hobby budget doesn't quite cover it yet. But maybe after the Majestic Fantasy Realm Kickstarter, I'll have enough.
There you go. Yeah, Kelsey is an amazing. She's just an amazing person. Her and her wife Jessie. You couldn't ask for nicer people, better ambassadors for old school gaming than people that are passionate about old school gaming, and they're both very passionate about it, and the community. And it was great to see both of them. I first saw Kelsey on, I think it was Friday, and I just made a point of going up, giving her the quick, shake of the hand, and I knew she was busy. She was surrounded by people, and I just want to say, listen, I just want to make sure I get my hellos in, and then her and Jesse tracked me down better on Saturday for a little bit more, you know, for pictures and stuff, and just honest, good
And
conversation.
they won the Three Castle, and she won the Three
She
Castle
won the
Award
Three
for Shadow
Castles
Dragon.
Award.
So kudos
Yeah,
to her
yeah.
and her team.
I took a photo of the two of them with the award, and this was the first year with the new award. By the way, Diesel is the one that does the award. He did the old award, and he does the new award. Um, this is the first year that Diesel and I actually got time to talk. So we got some special guests coming up for the Wednesday night live streams. Kelsey's agreed to be on the live this summer. James Raggy is going to be on with us, Mike and myself. Diesel. Uh, Diesel is actually him and Diesel and his wife are regular viewers of this channel. So God bless them both. I found that out and I was totally floored. Especially when it's the wife telling the husband, "You got to see this. Did you hear the latest news?" Then you know it's cool. Dave, I know it's a far trip. We don't. We used to get one or two from Ireland. I know we have one or two that are regulars from the UK. Um, but I think James Raggy comes the farthest.
I
And
think there's an OSR convention in England now.
James was up in one in, I believe, in David's neck of the woods. Uh, the week before North Texas. So he did a turnaround. He had about like 9 hours at home between conventions. So God bless him.
Oh,
Uh,
Product Gnome is UK based.
Blue. Uh, 535 North Texas attendees is posted on Facebook. And like I said, if everybody attended that had pre-registered, you'd be knocking on 600. And it didn't feel all that crowded. I think the space was better used this time. And it was just a great thing. And by the way, if you attend North Texas and you're going to be looking for me and have difficulty finding me, I eat many of my meals, or if I've got time to kill, I settle down in one of those big chairs outside just because of where the traffic is, outside that ladies' restroom right by the con area. So it's just a good spot for me to people watch and see members of the community and be seen. So Rich and I often will spend some time there. So if you can't find me elsewhere, that's a place to keep an eye out for me. It's the unofficial throne of the tavern. Um, I know.
Yeah, I don't think people from. I feel bad for Dave Thompson, but I don't think people realize it. In the United States, we're so big that to get the stuff we want, we have to travel a while sometimes.
Yeah. You know, the U.S. It spans a continent, literally from coast to coast, and it's a lot of
Yeah,
space.
my home state, Pennsylvania, from east to west, is the length of England. If I want to go from Meadville to Pennsylvania or to Philadelphia or to Connecticut,
Uh huh.
it's a journey and a half. 8 hour, 10 hours driving. And that's if there's no rush traffic.
Wow. And you do that all in pretty much one stretch, Rob. So God bless you.
Yeah, I did that. Sorry, I had to bail out that first year. I had to get home. I mean, I'd work on Monday, so
No, no, I got you. Like I said, you do that stretch. My limit for a single day's driving is probably somewhere around 6 hours. So if I drive to Battle Creek, Michigan in July for WizCon, WizardCon, WizCon is probably not the way to say it, but Dunsamore is going to be having WizardCon. If I drive out to Battle Creek, Michigan, I'm probably going to do it as a 2-day trip each way.
WizCon? What's that
WizardCon,
about?
it's Dunsamore's Wizard Tower Games. I think the venue was being finalized yesterday or today. There was some interference with the venue due to some quasi anonymous complaints or allegations made against Don, but I believe it is cleared up. So, uh, yes, Americans measure distance and time. Ask us how. Ask us how are some we are someplace, and we answer in a unit of time. Yeah, no. How far are the Poconos from my house? 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on traffic and whether or not I stop for a bio break. You know, yeah.
Yeah,
We
Battle Creek is 5.5 hours away from me.
okay. Oh, that's definitely within that's a trip that Don can make in a single day and back. I'm sorry, Rob. Rob could do that.
Well, that would kill me. The
All right,
most I can go for a single day and back if it's 3 hours there and 3 hours back.
all right.
I've done that for LARP events, but beyond that, I went to a LARP event in West Virginia one time, and it was just a day event, and I drove 3 hours there. Woke up at 6 o'clock, drove 3 hours there, got there around 9, 10 o'clock, played all day, then left at sundown, which was like 7 o'clock, got home about 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
We,
Parasocial Canada has some big Providence. So I went to a job in Quebec City one time, and the travel agent got me this flight that had three connecting flights and layovers, and it was like 10 hours of the total trip time. And so, I could drive there in that length of time, which was technically true. And as you know, the best kind of true or correct is the one that's technically. But so I decided to drive there from Pennsylvania. And first of all, I went through Montreal, and I don't know what the city planners were deciding, but they had you go around circles into the sky in order to go anywhere, to go in the direction, and that was a bit disturbing. But the real thing is once I got out of Montreal and started heading to Quebec, I kept driving and driving and driving. Turned out Montreal was the halfway point. The St. Louis Seaway is a long stretch of geography to drive.
oh my God. Yeah, it helps if you have somebody with you that can share. If I had somebody with me sharing the drive, and Rach shares the drive with me in the essence that she's in the car with me, and will usually make sure I'm awake by talking to me. But yeah, she doesn't drive, and if she did drive, that would be dangerous. She's legally blind. So, because I know my parents when I was a kid drove down to Florida in a single stretch. Just who wasn't driving was sleeping. Did the same going to Newfoundland in my high school years. Parents drove up to, I guess, Nova Scotia and then got the ferry. And I think the ferry was the first time that we actually slept, that we as a car weren't moving, although the car was moving on the ferry.
So when I was growing up, my dad told me he can drive as far as St. Louis in the west, and down to the somewhere the South Carolina Georgia border when we're heading toward Florida. That's the limit as far as he was willing to push it. And one year we went down. We intend to take a Florida vacation, maybe hit Disney World or something, and so we drove down. Of course, we stopped at the North Carolina and Georgia border, and I don't know, something was up with uh, getting campsites or something, and we found this place called Lake Lanier, and it was so beautiful and so nice. That wound up being our vacation. We just aborted the plan to go to Florida and stayed there the entire week.
All right, well that works. Yeah. So, Fugly, problem with Rach is that her vision is incorrectable with glasses. So, yeah, I mean, she can wear readers. It kind of helps when she's looking at stuff that's kind of close work, but for distance, nah, there's no correcting it. Off grid grognard. Hey, I said
That's a name I haven't seen.
no. Shire Khan is not in Australia though. Shire Khan is in northwest
West Connecticut.
Connecticut. Yeah, I was like I figured, and Connecticut's on the east coast, but it's the northwest corner of Connecticut.
Very, very rural.
Yes. So, and
I will be there at ShireCon. I'll be running 2 games.
oh,
I
very cool.
I'm going to rerun. One of them is going to be new, which is called the Elf Lord's Temple, and the other one will be a rerun of the Seats of the Russet Lord, which I think is up there somewhere. I don't see
Oh,
it at the
damn.
moment, but it's up there. It's in there.
So, So Rob, your one convention is going to be ShireCon, I guess, right?
Yes.
Nothing else on yours. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, Tim and I, between me doing something and Tim wanted to do something with Tim, we used to go to 2 a year, and generally one of them was Con on the Cob in
Right.
Ohio. But then the pandemic hit, we got older. I don't know. It's ShireCon seems to be it for now, unless
Mm.
there's a board game con at in Erie, Pennsylvania that I may get to, and there's one in Butler, but which is south of me, between me and Pittsburgh. But they're kind of like very new school, very 5e or Pathfinder or whatever the latest
Uh,
edition is. So yeah, Thrakus, I need to get to North Texas at least once.
yeah, we've had James Raggy now there 2 years in a row. James has said that uh, North. I think he does the most sales at North Texas, nearly on par with Gen Con. And unlike Gen Con, where most people walking up to his table have no idea who he is or what he's selling, everybody at North Texas knows about James Raggy. So it's his kind of people, which is a beautiful thing. You know,
So when does North Texas start? Is it Thursday evening or Friday day?
it starts. North Texas actually has its unofficial start Wednesday evening.
Wednesday evening.
Wednesday evening is the pre-con get it on. So Wednesday evening, excuse me, it's tradition and it's mostly used by locals. But if you can't afford to attend a convention, you can go to the pre-con get it on. Uh, Pickup game, Circus Maximus, a few other things. Does not require registration, does not require a con badge. You just want to socialize and hang out with people at the bar that are gamers. That's the night. That's the night to come on down and just check things out. Now Wednesday for the pre-con get it on, 300 plus, just over 300 registered con attendees picked up their badges. So that tells you that people are essentially turning this into a 5 day con, which is a beautiful thing. Um, Paige,
So
I will be.
Thursday is definitely a day of gaming. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna game. Thursday's a day of gaming. The throughout the con, the non-gaming times that are or light gaming times, 3 to 6 on Saturdays when they have the award ceremony for the various Circus Maximus and whatever other events are going on in the D&D tournament. So that's the award ceremony and the main auction. So that's usually light on gaming because a lot of people want to go to that.
Yeah, I can probably
Uh,
run 4 sessions if it's 4 days of gaming.
yeah, and usually around 4 o'clock on Sunday, most of the rooms are broken down, but there's still gaming going on through 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. So late Sundays usually where everybody starts, trying to do dinner plans. So my advice is actually figure out your dinner plans for if you leave on Monday, you're gonna have dinner plans for any of those dates. Try to figure them out ahead of time. It makes scheduling a lot easier, and it makes it less likely that you're going to get into a conflict of, oh, if these all these people want to have dinner, and you can if you plan it out ahead of time. Like we planned out with Glenn that we were going to have dinner with Glenn on Saturday, so that worked. We knew that.
Well, that's going to be a little hard on the first timers. You don't know who is what and where half the time, except for a small number of people.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can if the food trucks are amazing. They've got food trucks. The food is very good, and you're probably getting pretty decent value for your money. And like I said, eat that at the con. In the open gaming area, people turn that into an impromptu lunchroom, sit down next to strangers. I know that in the restaurant itself, there are people sitting down to with people. I mean, I had to turn down Merle Rasmussen because Merle and his wife were having dinner. We came in, and Merle got up and would have had a seat with him, but I was waiting on somebody else who was already going to have dinner with us. So you just you got to balance it out. And yes, I will be at Page. I'm one of the special guests. That doesn't. I'm a special guest. There's probably about 50 special guests, so that's just. But I'm like part of the media special guests, so it's pretty interesting. So that should be a lot of fun. I've heard some great things about Page.
Yeah, one day that might be doable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Page because that's becoming an old school
I
convention,
mean,
right?
it's an old school convention, and it had an amazing success last year. I got a feeling it's going to turn into, excuse me, the game hole of the East Coast. I think Ron's doing a great job with it from everything I've heard. So
Hmm.
it should be a lot of fun.
So it's in January.
Yes.
Hmm. Have to mull that over. Might give it a go.
All right. Let me.
So in 5 minutes, I will have to get up and briefly leave your company, but I'll be back.
Okay. All right. We're also going to be hitting the 1 hour mark, Rob. So I mean, if we have to, it's just the two of us. I don't think anybody would. Oh, we got 26 live viewers.
Kellyanne's coming home, and she rides her bike out to Conneaut Lake and back for the exercise and to save gas. So I help her in. So
Okay.
it doesn't take long to help her. But
No, I got
so if you don't want to shut it down, then we don't have to shut it down.
you. Okay. Off grid
Not to
grognard.
be creepy, but she uses this program called Strava, and I'm watching her. I've seen her riding in real time.
It's like having an iPhone and you're watching like, oh, where's my spouse out now? I think '94 was the year I was at my 1 year at Gen Con, off grid grognard. So it was interesting. I actually got to meet the guys at Palladium. Trying to catch up on the chat. Steak, Tex Mex, brisket. Oh my god, barbecue in Texas, man. I
Yeah, somebody posted a picture of a barbecue brisket that got me hungry right away.
yeah.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yep. Renting some hotel rooms doesn't cost much. Uh, North Texas, if you stay at the hotel next to it, I forget what it's called. It's a lot cheaper than even the con rate. It's under $100 a room. I think that's where James Raggy was staying actually. He did most of his meals at Denny's. By the way, according to James, don't eat the steak at Denny's. Unlimited pancakes, however, not bad. Mr. Gunn. Uh, Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto. There's Montreal. There's a few Quebec City. There's a few places I know of in Canada, but you guys are too cold. I'll start with my smaller cons of RPGers. As soon as I hear 1,000 expected in attendance, trepidation ensues. It's almost 24 hours for me to drive to North Texas. God bless. North Texas will probably never exceed 600 attendees. They're always going to cap pre-registration at around 500. That's their sweet spot. They don't want to outgrow their venue because the venue they have, the Westin, can be broken down, as Gary explained on Wednesday, into a pretty nice assortment of quasi private game rooms with no more than, like, say, 2 to 3 tables per room. So you don't get that insane cacophony of noise that some of the larger conventions get and makes it nearly impossible to run games at. So, and they're not running it to make money, they don't draw salaries from it. Uh, Gary Kahn pays the siblings, right? That's money for the kids, and as such, it's likely. This is just me spitballing. I suspect at some point they're going to have to move, just from a money point of view. I could be
Back.
wrong. Oh, that was the quickest disappearance. That was quicker than one of Joe's shits. So we never know when he leaves anyway, because his camera is always off. How's the Blade and Sorcery going, Hector? Right now, it's in Tim Cath's hands as editor. So I believe we're supposed to get back that first round of editing sometime this weekend. At which point, Don and myself will go over the edits to see what suggestions that we have from Tim, and then we'll make corrections or argue things out with Tim. I guess I don't suspect I would win those arguments. I've dealt with Tim. Uh, Tim is, as they say, exactly what it says on the tin. Tim is legit. So you don't argue with the man unless you know you're in the right, and I probably wouldn't be in the right, so I'll just probably acquiesce. But he's doing the editing right now, and he's very skilled at that. And then another round, or probably another round of editing, and then we get the light rules out. Hopefully by the end of the month, print and PDF.
Awesome.
And then this summer becomes working on the full rules, and it's going to. Whereas the initial light rules are going to hew very close to Swords and Wizardry Light, but it's going to be digest size. It's not going to be those 4 cramped little pages. It's going to be a much looser, easier on the eyes format. The full rules of Blades and Sorcery is going to be a full game system. So we got a lot of tinkering to work on that. Glenn is only on every other Friday night. So Glenn is resting. So you can't have Glenn all the time. And I know last Friday's show was actually moved to Thursday with Glenn because we had the whiskey tasting on Friday. And it was good whiskey this year. It wasn't bad whiskey. It wasn't German whiskey. Yeah, but they're not making money off the con. Even Doug used to run North Texas at a loss. Honestly. And I had spoken to Doug about that. And Doug's theory was, hey, I do 2 vacations a year, one with my family and one with my gaming family. And I should probably spend as much on both vacations. So if he spent a couple of thousand on his vacation with his family, he was willing to lose that same amount on the con, which gave the little space. Observation from North Texas this year: the regular auction was lacking a number of the usual sharks. They were either not there this year, or they were there and their wallets were a little tighter because of employment and or kids going to college. So,
Sharks? What's the context of sharks?
so the sharks are the ones that are willing to get into a bidding war with each other for something that is missing from their collection. So they see something that's quasi rare or rare, and your average peon like you or I, Rob, go, oh, I love that. Oh no,
I know what you mean.
So the sharks were relatively tamed this year. So some things went for prices that in retrospect, I'm like, wow, I should have bid on it. But then that extra person bidding on it could have brought the price up another 100, 150, which again goes for the con. but also comes out of your wallet if you're the one that wins. I did get an opportunity to bid on stuff at the regular auction. I won a tournament adventure from Pacer Games. That was a GM's copy for this year's tourney. Um, that was donated. I was happy to do that. And of course, I won some silent auctions. I won the Metamorphosis Alpha silent auction with a lot of material from the Goodman Games Kickstarter, but not the oversized book, but everything else and more than I'll ever need. I got to go through see what I already have, and I'll probably give the rest away. Oh, it's our Christmas.
Yeah, but with Joe in the group, we'll never play anything but fantasy.
Yeah. Then
You should be on the show if you want to rebut that, Joe.
yeah, Joe, stop your drinking. It's a horrible habit anyway. There was a dice bag silent auction that had three people bidding on it. Myself, Ed, Mike, and another basically another taverner, and everybody was. I was bidding on it because I was like, oh, cool, dice bags and a beer koozie, but there were three Metamorphosis Alpha dice bags, limited from a high end level from the Kickstarter. So I told Mike and the other bidder, listen, if I win it, I will let you each choose one of the Metamorphosis Alpha bags because there's three. We're the only three bidding on it, and either we go into a bidding war, or I agree. At that point I was the leading bidder. I go, I'll just give you guys a choice, and they both thought I was crazy, but I won the auction, and I went to Mike's to pick a bag, and he picked the bag and tried to pay me, and I wouldn't take it because that wasn't the deal. And then I got my the other bidder to find me during the main auction. I said, pick a bag. He's like, what do I owe you? I go, nothing. Pick a bag. We all got one of the Metamorphosis Alpha bags. I wasn't in it for that anyway, so I was still ahead. He also had one of those. Had a huge Crown Royale dice bag essentially. So it was. I did well. Tenkar's Tavern makes money in a limited sense. Not a whole lot of money. We don't do paid sponsorships. We don't do paid advertising. We don't do ad reads. Come on, we don't do any of that crap. Um,
Yeah,
German
somewhere I have
whiskey.
a container full of Crown Royal bags.
We
We used to be so precious when I was young, and somehow in the last 10 years, I accumulated like 4 of them.
yeah. When I was young, had one friend that had them. It's like none of us had them. It's like now
Now I
they
don't
come in
even need it
color.
because my son made this 3D printed.
Oh, okay, yeah. The dice box.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, one year my son printed this. He got a 3D printer and kind of going hog wild and said, "Dad, can I make something for you?" So he said, "Yeah, sure. You can make me a dice box." And so he made this, and I gave him the one of the OSR patches I had, and he measured it. And so let's see if I can tilt the camera down so I don't have to tilt this as much.
Are those glow in the dark dice or?
No, now these are Zachi.
Oh, the fluorescent green. Oh, those aren't dice. Those are what are
Oh,
they?
so these are sewing weights. And if you ever have and I
Uh,
use lots of battle maps and regular maps. So Kellyanne got the bright idea when she saw me weighing down my map with uh, uh, dice. Why don't I get sewing weights? So she got me these. And then when Greg made this, he came up with the idea that I'm going to need these little tabs to get the sewing weights out of here. This, I find it handy because not all. Why is my camera? Back
there
to
we
you.
go.
So this is the last thing I own from my Mage Knight, and it's just incredibly useless when you're using a battle map without a grid.
Okay.
And I mean I don't do strict movement, but if you want to move 100 feet, it's nice to know roughly how long that is. Then finally these are my GURPS dice. And I have the blue because I played some Fantasy Age, and you need a different colored dice with that system. Because in Fantasy Age, uh, you roll 3 dice. You roll 3 dice, and if you roll doubles, I'm going to fake it here.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So if you roll doubles, that's kind of like a critical, and then you look at this dice to see whatever number it rolled to see what the exact critical is. So it's a pretty slick
Oh,
mechanic.
that's not bad.
So for a while, around 2016 and 2017, Tim, I, Dwayne, and locally were playing a lot of Fantasy Age. And then they didn't open up their system, and we kind of lost interest because once we played a few campaigns, we'd done what we could. We couldn't share what we did, so we moved on to other things.
Yeah, and that's part of it, right? I mean, we like our open systems so we can build upon it, so we can share our creations, and it's not even profiting. I mean, it's a lot of what gets published are passion projects. You just don't want to lose money on it,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
like sharing this stuff. I know it's extra work, but you know, I like the money. It was very nice to have my Kickstarter come in the way it did, but ultimately, the biggest pleasure I derived out of this whole thing is people finding useful stuff among my material, telling me that it's useful, then telling me what even, and I enjoyed even the critical feedback because it tells me how to make it even more useful. And I don't know, I'm just wired that way. I do have one set of gimmick dice. I have magic missile dice. They roll from
Okay, I've seen those. I actually might
yep,
have a few of those.
yep. They roll from 2 to 5, 1d4 plus one.
Yeah,
I
those
have
those are
used
fun.
them. Yeah, those are fun. I did not get the healing dice because they're just a regular d6 with a little healing potion graphic on them.
Yeah, no, I passed on that too, but I do remember those specialized. I think they were colored. Like, I think they had a fireball dice with the fireball icon as the six or something like that. And it's just like interesting stick. This goes back a number of years, by the way, as a Kickstarter. So, hmm, excuse me. So, all right, we're gonna throw this open for the next couple of minutes, folks. If you have questions for Don, sorry, Don, Rob, and I know I'm just saying like thanks, Don. Oh yeah, Don, for Rob and I, throw them out there because
I'm the guy with the beard, Eric.
you're the guy with the beard. You're the guy with the beard. I had a beard when I came back from North Texas. I forgot to bring my razor with me. I was like, son of a, oh well. And then I was like, I guess I better clip it. But yeah, no. Otherwise, we were going to be pulling the plug on this pretty soon. We were hoping for some like random member of our party to show up, but no, not even a straggler.
No, Tim bailed, but he has a tough job, so
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, I will say this: I'm retired. To anybody who's working a job, probably has a tough job.
I get to play with lasers, so who am I to complain?
There you go. Off the grid, Grognard. Listen, thank you for showing. It was great to see a new voice in the chat. That makes sense. To see a new voice in the chat, I feel like I'm somebody that's seeing sounds now. But in any case, glad you stopped on by. Where's the bad Mike? The bad Mike occasionally shows up on Fridays, but the bad Mike is probably sleeping off the con. I mean, it ran as close to clockwork as I've ever seen North Texas run, and that isn't just because of Gary, not just because of Mike, but it's because of the whole staff of volunteers and and quasi volunteers, even like people like myself who's been going for the last 10 years. People will come up to you to ask you questions because you look comfortable, and I look very comfortable. And people are like, "Where's the registration desk? Where do I get my badge?" Jeff D. I we were out on the last day and we got a flat. How did we get another night at the hotel?
At least you didn't have to explain to a guy why using a lead pipe for the core of their buffer sword was a bad idea.
No. Now
It
you think
has
that
to
was
be
enough.
PVC, and not just any PVC. It has to be 3/8 PVC.
What you mean? You mean hitting somebody over the head with a lead pipe is not a good thing?
Even when it's covered with PVC foam.
Damn it! You
Yes,
take all the
we
fun
had
out.
a. It was the right diameter, but it was a piece of metal piping, and it's just
Oh.
no.
All right. Don has a good question for us. Um, between the two of you, what do you think is the most pressing issue in gaming today?
I would say, look, I'm very biased to advocating for open gaming, so take this with a grain of salt. But I think the most pressing issue is people got to stop caring what wizards do. If they put something good out, then fine. If they don't, we got options. We got thousands of them, literally.
No,
And it's gotten to the point where I think niches are self-supporting. We're not dependent on the health of D&D, the brand leader, to keep our own thing going and growing. So
um, let's see. I think for the most part, we've gotten beyond the idea that you're going to make millions of dollars in gaming, and only a handful of people are going to be able to do this as their primary income source. But so I don't think that's necessarily a driving issue. I think the issue, this is a conversation that whether you see it online or you hear about it at conventions, um, is legit, and it's AI and the idea that it's going to be more than for some people. See, if you're using AI as a tool, as a paintbrush, as an inspiration device to get your writing going or whatever, that's all fine and fun and not much different than I was it a Idea Pro or Photoshop or any of the other stuff. But when you're using it to do all the work for you, you take the soul out of gaming. And I think that's a lot of the fear that people have. And I think we got to get past that fear because I think personally, AI is going to become part of the process. It's we got to accept it as a tool, and we got to keep it as a tool. We don't want it to be giving us end results that are going into projects and people saying, "I did this," because then you really
well, can I
do.
can I illustrate something about
Yeah,
AI? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So yes, I'm gonna do. Oops. Hold on. I gotta get this shared. What and it kind of, I wouldn't say disappoints me as far as the hobby that people are really worried about AI, because I'm mildly disappointed in that we, out of everybody who is having to deal with AI, we have the most experience dealing with procedure, other than the computer gaming people. We have the experience in dealing with um, random tables and procedurally generated content, starting with like Traveler. We have products that were randomly generated projects like Fangs um, and a thousand Travelers, 1,001 character. So, here I'm in ChatGPT. I'm going to say, write a story about a boy and his dog. Very simple story. Now, it's going to be a little bit fantasy based because of the background prompts that I set up.
Excuse me.
Okay, so now I am going to copy that, bring up my text editor, and then I'm going to delete it. It was no ChatGPT is no longer going to consider that. Now I'm going to say, write a story about a boy and his dog. If, as you're seeing, the story generating here has similar elements, but it's not the same story. And this is what people, I don't think, get about all this AI stuff. It's a random generator at the high level. There's a lot of details to it, and people I'm a software developer, and I see people who actually focus on this blow their gasket when I characterize like this. But as far as for what we do, the art, the text, uh, all that stuff, as far as our world is concerned, it's a random generator. So my recommendation for dealing with this is treat it as a random generator, just as you would treat. I'm gonna have to stop sharing and share my window here, Eric. I
Mhm.
apologize. But we just our best use of this. I'll get this out of the way. Our best use of this is to treat it like we would these this program, Inspiration Pad Pro, which is
Okay.
Table
Yeah.
Smith. And I come here. I needed a way of generating magic shop inventory on the fly. So I made this random generator here. I entered the value of the inventory, 10,000 silver pieces, and there, it gives me an inventory. But I wouldn't sell a book based on this. I might use
No.
this as part of writing a book to generate the inventory of a magic uh, shop in the city state of Eastgate. But I would may go through and say, do this 10 times and offer it as a free PDF download. But, but yeah, so I think that's what if there's a problem in the hobby and for people who are worried about AI, just keep in mind, it's a random generator. And as long as and if you treat it like a random generator and use it like a random generator in your work, it will be okay. And eventually people will realize that and start to chill out about it. The part where I think they got a case though is the AI company taking shortcuts and using pirated works to train their data on.
Right.
While it's not a training your data on the training part is not in my opinion is not copyright violation because the training doesn't involve copying the work in question, but the act of pirating is, and they need to be called account on that. And they did.
And
The only reason why that's the reason why that's a thing in the AI is because 5-10 years ago, AI, this kind of stuff was the providence of researchers with a very small budget given to them by their uh, universities. So understandably, they took shortcuts. But since it became a thing, no, they got to go buy the stuff that They got to buy the stuff they want legitimately.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Gunn, you're right. Yeah. Most people have never used AI and don't realize it's a natural language, large data set search engine. So,
With a random generator.
with a random generator.
As you saw from the the boy and his dog story, it didn't generate the same story twice.
Right.
Even you know, even though they kind of they start off with the description of the village they lived in and how the boy met the dog, and then there's some inciting incident, and they have similar story tracks, but they don't. The
They don't
first story
necessarily
was
want.
about Liam and Bramble, and the second story was about Thomas and Max.
Well, for a random episode of the Random Party Generator, we did pretty well, Rob.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we
Good
did pretty.
question, by the way.
Yes, I do appreciate it, folks. So listen, we're gonna wrap this up. I don't know how it is in northwestern PA right now, but New York City is hot and humid, and it's sticky. But next live stream is
It was
tomorrow
cold
night,
here.
8 to 1.
Then it got warm.
Yeah, Gamers
Then it's
Health.
gonna get cold again.
Yeah, I know. Next week's going to be in the 90s for a couple of days out in this end. Um, Folks, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. For others, for them well. Rob, I, and the rest of the Random Party Generator should be back in, I guess, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Yep.
which will be
2
2
weeks
days
until
before my
next.
birthday.
Mhm.
Ooh. All right, folks. On that note, laters.